Hey guys, welcome back to Analyzing Horror. My name's Lauren, and today we'll be discussing the pre-Nope Jordan Peele collection, Get Out and Us. So at the time that I'm filming this video, I'll be seeing Nope tomorrow, and I just can't wait to see what Jordan Peele has in store for us next. I just think he delivers horror in such a unique way as a creator, and I also really love the premise of both Get Out and Us. I also really love the cinematography as well as the really awesome soundtracks, and I also really love how he peppers humor in throughout the storylines. In addition, all of the performances are incredible as well. And I'm just a huge fan, and I can't wait to go on another Jordan Peele adventure, and it was really nice to revisit these two movies in preparation for Nope's opening weekend. So fair warning, I'm going to be talking about the storyline and some spoilers for both Get Out and Us, so if you haven't seen them yet, make sure to pause, go watch the movies, and then come back afterwards. Alright, let's start off by talking about Jordan's directorial debut, Get Out from 2017. So Chris and his girlfriend Rose travel upstate to visit her parents for the weekend. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as a nervous way to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship. However, as the weekend continues, a series of disturbing discoveries leads Chris to a truth that he never could have imagined. So first up, I wanted to talk about my two favorite characters and performances, Daniel Kaluuya as Chris and Little Hallery as Rod. Daniel gave such an incredible performance. I've loved him since Black Mirror, and I just think he's an incredible actor. I just really love how his facial expressions and nonverbal acting are very subtle, but at the same time very expressive. I just think that's very impressive. I also really loved Chris as a character. I particularly liked towards the end where he fought for his life. That was a really satisfying part of the movie. I also really loved Little Hallery. Oh my god, was he so funny in every scene that he was in. Like every scene Rod was in, he made me laugh. I just really loved his character. I loved his personality, I loved his humor, and I also loved that he was such a really good friend. He was also the perfect amount of comic relief in this movie. Like, I just loved him so much. Also, I had to quickly mention Betty Gabriel as Georgina. Like, she was incredible. Like that scene where she had an internal struggle and then her character smiles but a tear rolls down her cheek. Like, oh my god, that was some incredible acting. Like, I love every scene that she's in, but that particular one was so unsettling and she just did a phenomenal job. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I really love the soundtrack in this movie. The creepy song at the very beginning that goes run, rabbit, run, run, run. And the song Redbone by Childish Gambino will forever be associated to this movie for me. The movie also had a really great creepy score and it just added unease to every tense moment and I just really loved that as well. So moving on to my favorite parts of this storyline, I really loved how the movie kind of poked fun at like the overly enthusiastic white liberal that's just tripping over themselves to let you know how inclusive they are. Like how the dad says that he would vote for Obama for a third time if he could and kept saying, my man, my man. I don't know, I just thought that was really funny. I also really loved the sinking scene where the mother hypnotizes Chris. That sinking sensation was so trippy, and I also feel so bad for Chris in that moment because I can't imagine how terrifying that must have been to fallen into the sunken place and you can't move. That must have been so scary. Also, that whole scene at the party was so creepy and uncomfortable. All these weird older couples start walking up to Chris and asking him inappropriate and strange questions, as well as saying things like, black is in fashion. And also at one point, one woman just grabs his bicep to see how strong he is. So weird. Like, I feel discomfort for Chris in that scene. Like, oh, that makes me cringe so bad. There's also that scene where Chris recognizes a guy named Andre at the party who's actually been missing for a while, but he looks and acts completely differently. Chris tries to stealthily take a picture of Andre so that he has evidence and he can show Rod. However, the flash sort of wakes Andre up and he just starts charging Chris, yelling, get out, get out. By the way, I love when the title of the movie is used in the movie. That's so fun. That scene was so intense and I just feel so bad for Andre because you can see and feel the desperation coming off of him. Speaking of which, I thought all of the scenes where the servants were acting strange were very unsettling and off-putting. Like that scene where Walter was aggressively running towards Chris in the middle of the night. That was incredibly strange. And as I mentioned earlier, that scene where Georgina has that internal struggle and then smiles but a tear rolls down her cheek. Like again, that scene was incredible and you could just see something was incredibly off with that woman. It's such an incredible scene. I just love that performance. I also loved all of the scenes where Chris called Rod and every time Chris was conveying what was going on, Rod was the voice of reason. The hypnotizing being nothing good, his sex slave theory, and then just telling Chris to get the hell out of there. I just love that he was basically right the entire time and it just made me love Rod as a character even more. And as Chris is telling Rose that they need to leave, there's this really creepy scene of a silent auction and a giant picture of Chris is next to the podium. him. And it's just so creepy because at this point in the movie, you don't fully understand what's going on, but you sure as hell know it's not good. And then we get this horrible twist where Rose is frantically looking for the car keys while the family is slowly circling in on Chris. And at first Chris is like, Rose, where are the keys? Where are the keys? Where are the keys? And then at one point he just loses it and he's like, Rose, where are the keys? It's not funny, but he does really lose it. And then it slowly dawns on him and he asks once more, Rose, where are the keys? And then Rose holds up the car keys and says, you know I can't give you the car keys, right, babe? The look of sheer shock, fear, and betrayal on this poor man's face. It says it all, and it's just absolutely devastating and terrifying at the same time. Like, I just can't imagine how terrified and trapped Chris must have felt with his one and only exit fully blocked. But then also being forced into the sunken place by the mother's teacup stirring noise. And that scene's just so scary, because put yourself in Chris's shoes. Imagine how powerless you must feel in that moment. Like, that's just pure fear of not being able to do anything to stop something horrible from happening to you. Like, that thought alone makes my heart race. However, I love that we also get another scene with Rod where he's trying to get a hold of Chris, and when he can't, he starts to investigate and then actually goes to the police. Like, again, he's just such a good friend. I just really love that he goes that extra mile to make sure that his friend's okay. I also really love that police station scene. I love how Rod brings Chris's dog as evidence, and then he also pitches his sex slave theory to the detectives, and then the female detective invites two other detectives in, and then he does his whole spiel, and then they end up just laughing at him. But I just love that he still doesn't give up. I also really like the last 30 minutes of this movie where Chris uses a bit of fuzz to clog his ears so that the teacup stirring noise doesn't take him into the sunken place. And he manages to escape his restraints and starts to viciously attack in self-defense against the family. And I love all of the deaths in this part of the movie, but the deer antlers to the dad's stomach was fucking gnarly and I loved it. And then I also loved how Chris smashed the teacup so that he rendered the mother powerless against him. Fuck yeah! That part in particular was very satisfying. And Chris finally manages to escape, but unfortunately crashes the car on his way down the driveway. And then we get this last surge of fear towards the very end of the movie, where Chris and Rose are in an altercation, and suddenly you see police lights. And your heart just drops, because it's like, oh god, he's gonna get blamed for everything. They're gonna believe Rose over him. Like, this is gonna be a nightmare. No, please don't make this happen. But the lights are actually from Rod's TSA security car. And I just loved that ending. And I'll say it again, Rod is an incredible friend. And I just loved how he saved the day and rescued his friend. All right, let's move on to Us from 2019. So in order to get away from their busy lives, the Wilson family takes a vacation to Santa Cruz, California, with plans to spend time with their friends, the Tyler family. However, the family's serene beach vacation suddenly turns to chaos when one night, four mysterious strangers holding scissors appear at the end of their driveway and ultimately break in. The family is shocked to discover that these intruders look just like them, only with more grotesque appearances. And they begin to wreak havoc and turn the family's evening into a fight for survival. So while I do have a couple of favorite performances and characters, I just have to say how freaking cool it is to have seen basically every single cast member play not only their main character, but also their double. That's just one of my things. I absolutely love getting to see actors play two or multiple characters, so that just really does it for me. And it's one of the many reasons why I love this movie so much. Especially getting to see Lupita Nyong'o play both Adelaide and Red. Oh my god, was she incredible. Like, she was great as Adelaide, but she was just outstanding as Red. She was just so unsettling and menacing, and her facial expressions and nonverbal acting was just incredibly unnerving. And it was just an absolutely fantastic performance. Also, Elizabeth Moss was great as Kitty, but again, she was outstanding as her double. That bedroom scene where she was in front of the mirror as well as the window was just incredible. Again, like, her facial expressions and nonverbal acting, it was just so amazing, completely captivating, and just truly unsettling. I also really loved Tim Heidecker as Kitty's husband, Josh, but once again, he was just phenomenal as his double. He was actually the one that looked like he was having the most fun. Like, he does this crazy squawk noise, and there are times where he like crouches down and just acts very animalistic, and he's very animated with his body language, and it was just both funny and deeply unsettling at the same time. Also, similar to Get Out, I really love the soundtrack in this movie. The song I Got 5 on It by Lunas will forever be associated to this movie for me. I also loved the creepy score. I liked in the opening credits scene that there was this haunting chorus going on, but overall throughout the entire movie, like, it was just very unsettling, and I just really loved how it added more tension to the movie that was already there. I also really loved how the score used the melody for I Got 5 on It instrumentally throughout the movie. I just thought that was really cool, and again, it just further integrates that song with this movie. It's forever entwined. So moving on to my favorite parts of the storyline, that creepy opening scene really set the tone, where young Adelaide and her parents were at a beachside carnival, and Adelaide ends up wandering off, and she ends up having a very mysterious but traumatizing event happen to her, and it was just very foreboding, and it just left this question in your head for pretty much the entire movie of like, what happened to her? I also really loved the aerial shot of Adelaide's family in present day walking out to the beach. Not only was that aerial shot really pretty, but the score in this particular scene was so awesome. I'll probably butcher it, but it's kind of like a z z z z drip drip z z z z drip. I'm also pretty sure that that's the only time that the movie uses that exact melody. I don't know, there's just something about it that just really speaks to me. It's like unsettling, but really rhythmic, and I just really loved it. And again, coupled with that aerial shot, I think that's one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie just for that. And then we get that fateful night where the doubles appear. That shot of them creepily just standing at the end of the driveway is so creepy and fully puts me on edge, especially when they begin to scatter and start to invade the home from different angles. And then the doubles force the family to sit down in the living room with them. And then Red gets her monologue where she talks about the underground tunnels and how all of the doubles are forced to replicate what the originals are doing above them. Again, Lupita's performance is just outstanding, and this is a particular scene where she's just the most unsettling. Not only with her dialogue, but also her facial expressions and her body language. Like, she's just so creepy. I also love the scenes where when the family is able to escape their doubles, they try to make it to their family friends, the Tyler's home. However, the Tyler's doubles have already gotten there and slain them. And again, I just loved Tim as Josh's double. Like, again, I just thought he did such a great job, and he just looked like he was having the most fun out of it. This is a scene I was mentioning where he like crouches down and does like his little squawk noises and kind of like hops a little bit. Like, he's just very animalistic, very animated, and I just love that scene with him. And also, again, I just really loved Elizabeth Moss as Kitty's double. Like, her double genuinely fucking terrifies me. Like, there's this scene where she looks out of a window and she's like aggressively crying and then seamlessly turns into hysterical laughter, all without making one noise. I am both deeply impressed with her performance and also genuinely disturbed. There's also this scene where she sits down in front of a mirror and just starts cutting her face. Truly chilling moments and such a great performance. I also love the scene where Red steals away Adelaide's son and takes him into the underground tunnels, and Adelaide chases after them. And this is the first time that we descend into the underground tunnels, and they're completely empty because all the doubles are now up above. So it's just really eerie and quiet, and there's a bunch of bunnies just hopping around. It's just really unsettling. I just really love that set design. I thought the underground tunnels looked really creepy. And then we get this incredibly beautiful yet intense dance fight scene between Adelaide and Red. And I think this is my favorite scene for several reasons. I just thought the dance fight choreography was so seamless, and it was just beautifully well done. I also liked how Red fought defensively. Like, when Adelaide was going in for a swing, she would like do an undercut, and I just thought that was really clever. And as this dance fight scene is going on, an instrumental version of I Got 5 on It is playing. And between that beautiful dance fight scene and the I Got 5 on It melody playing, like, it just is cinema. And then lastly, holy hell, that crazy twist ending. We finally find out what happened to young Adelaide all those years ago. She wanders through this hall of mirrors where the underground tunnel entrance is. Red ends up finding her, chokes her out, drags her down to a bed in the underground tunnel, chains her up, and then takes her place in the above world. So we've been rooting for the wrong person this entire time. And holy hell, do I feel bad for the real Adelaide. Like, imagine being forced to live down there for all of those years and then having to subject herself to all of the things that Adelaide did above. Or excuse me, Red. God, does that just get me. It makes my stomach fully drop for Adelaide. Although I will say, while I found the twist to be very effective and shocking, it's one of those endings where I just kind of love and hate it. I get really mixed emotions from it. Because at the very ending, Red wins. And like I said earlier, I feel so bad for the real Adelaide, so it's like, I kind of don't want Red to win, like, at all. And while this is probably the point, I just really feel uncomfortable knowing that I've been rooting for Red this entire time. I also try not to think too hard about the underground tunnels, because if I'm being honest, I just can't fully wrap my head around the concept. Like, there are just way too many questions unanswered. And it's just such a crazy concept and so out there. But at the same time, it's also such a cool and unsettling idea. I just wish that whole part of the story was fleshed out a bit more. And I just would have preferred more explanation over the significant amount of mystery that we're left with. In addition, the whole holding hands across the country in one long row that the doubles were doing towards the end, and it just felt like there was this big meaning behind it, but I just didn't understand what the movie was trying to say to me with it. And again, I just wish that there was a little bit more explanation with that. Still, even though I would have preferred more explanation, I just really love how creepy and unsettling this movie is throughout. Plus all of the amazing dual performances, as well as that awesome soundtrack and score. And of the two, it's the one I find myself revisiting the most. But both are such creative and unique movies, and I just can't wait to see what Jordan Peele has in store for us next with Nope. So what did you think about these movies? Do you have a favorite over the other? Are they about even for you? Or are neither your cup of tea? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, this is just a reminder that I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. So if you're interested in following me on those and you haven't already, the links are in my description box below. And as always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so Black Phillip knows you'd like to live deliciously. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon in the next video. Bye!